Good morning and welcome. My name is Sonia Lowen and I'm the Chairman of Debating SA. We've been coming to these chambers since 2006. So we've been coming here for a long time, and I've got to say that I'm always very amazed every time I come here. It's such a lovely venue and a very suitable venue, I think, for the debaters today. Congratulations on both teams. You've worked really, really hard to get to this position. So congratulations for all your hard work and your self-discipline, and good luck for today. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2025 Year 7 Division Debating SA Grand Final debate. My name is Mitchell Gibb and I am the chairman. The timekeeper is Rory Rice. The affirmative team, seated to my right, is from Nazareth Catholic College, consisting of the first speaker, Miguel Gino, second speaker, Rama Sahib, and the third speaker, Bhavnor Kaur. The negative team, seated to my left, is from Unley High School, consisting of the first speaker, Anuk Vetu, the second speaker, Isla Dali, and the third speaker, Marcy Burma. The grand final debate will be judged by a panel of 5 adjudicators, who are Miss Sonia Lowen, Miss Liliana France, Mr. Ruben Visser, Miss Mia Nyo, and Miss Ria Shiju. The speaking time of this debate is 3 minutes. A single warning bell will sound at 2 minutes, a double bell will sound at 3 minutes, and a continuous bell may be rung at 30 seconds after the speaking time, in which case the speaker must sit down immediately. Please switch off your mobile phones and other electronic devices. I declare this debate open and call upon the first affirmative speaker, Miguel Gino.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that the machete bins in Victoria are a good idea. We, the affirmative team, definitely believe that this statement is absolutely true. Cambridge Dictionary defines machetes as a large, broad-bladed cutting knife. These knives can vary in shape and size. The Victorian government defines machete bins as designated bins where individuals can safely dispose of their machetes during the amnesty period. Today, as the first speaker, I will be talking about how machete bins encourage owners of machetes to be good citizens and encourages other public members to look out for one another. Additionally, I will be speaking about how machete bins offer a secure and safe way to dispose of machetes. Our second speaker will explain that machete bins in the past were successful. She will also state that these bins will remove excessive violence. The third speaker will rebut and conclude our team case. My first point is that it will encourage owners of machetes to be good citizens and encourages other public members to look out for one another. Imagine this. It's a dark evening and you feel safe enough to go on a nice walk around your neighbourhood. Be honest. Does that not sound nice to you? Machete amnesty programs like the machete bins encourages our community to come together and foster a sense of responsibility. The Department of Home Affairs has stated the weapons amnesty programs can reduce stigma by providing an anonymous space for individuals to surrender their weapons. The department has also conducted research on these programs, finding that they can help individuals feel more at ease and less likely to harbour negative feelings about their actions. Now on to my second point, which addresses that machete bins provide a secure way of disposing these hazardous weapons. These bins are made with heavy-duty reinforced steel and has an anchored concrete base. They're approximately 900 millimeters by 1,200 millimeters in size and are equipped with a 70 millimeter base to ensure stability. An article from the Victorian government in 2023 clarified that these bins are going to be made tamper-proof, meaning criminals attempting to steal these machetes cannot without being caught. A statement from Preston Potts, an analytical journalist, clarified that there were many individuals that were trying to take machetes from these bins when they were first released, but were unsuccessful due to the amount of security cameras located around establishments. Additionally, these bins are located around officialized police departments, making them guarded full-time by qualified police officers to ensure safety. This was also refined by the Victorian government. So, in conclusion, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely believe that machete bins are definitely a good idea. Thank you.
I call upon the first negative speaker, Anouk Vatu.
Good morning, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for today's debate is that machete bins in Victoria are a good idea. We agree with the definition given by the affirmative team. However, we, the negative team, firmly believe this statement to be false. While we agree that tackling violent crime and banning machetes is important, we argue that machete bins are an ineffective and wasteful policy that does little to make our community safer. As first speaker, I will demonstrate that machete bins are 1, ineffective, and 2, will not be used by the people causing crime. Our second speaker, Isla Dali, will rebut the opposing team's arguments and establish that the funds used on bins and associated media campaign would be better used on other prevention programs that address the root causes of machete violence, and that they are temporary, the problem will return. Our third speaker, Marcy Burma, will rebut and summarise our team's case. I will now rebut the first affirmative speaker's arguments. The first speaker from the affirmative team has tried to tell you that machete bins encourage people to be good citizens and that they make people feel safe. This is incorrect because a 2017 report on gun amnesties quotes former Federal Justice Minister Michael Keenan as saying that it was not going to be the case that hardened criminals who have made a big effort to get a hand on illegal guns would be handing them to police stations or amnesty bins. This clearly explains why amnesties, such as the one involving machete bins, are not a particularly effective response to firearm or knife crime in this case. They also tried to explain how machete bins are safe. This is flawed because according to Nick McGowan, Victorian politician, they can be cracked open easily by something as accessible and cheap as a Bunnings tool, leaving the opener of the bins with hundreds of machetes. Now, onto my first point, that machete bins are ineffective because they don't address the root cause of the problem. Security expert John Bigelow argues that the measure does little to close the gaping holes in the online supply of machetes or address the societal drivers of violence. In addition, Blake Edwards, Chief Executive of Youth Junction, a Victorian-based crime prevention organisation, has stated, "We've yet to meet a young person who carries a weapon because there's nowhere to bin it." This shows that machete bins do not address the main cause of violence and are a poor solution. Now, on to my second point, that the bins will not be used by actual criminals who are misusing machetes. Natalia Antelak-Saper, a senior lecturer in law at Monash University, said that the proposed solution may reduce visibility but was unlikely to significantly deter offenders. She suggests they may simply substitute machetes with other weapons such as knives, bats or tools, which raises concerns about displacement, not deterrence. Furthermore, the Herald Sun stresses that a criminal who's used a machete in an unlawful way would not simply waltz up to a police station, face uncovered, and drop off their weapon in a bin that is monitored by more than one CCTV. So, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, machete bins are ineffective and the people using machetes in violent crimes are not the ones using the bins. For these reasons, we strongly believe that machete bins in Victoria are in fact a misguided, inefficient and vain idea. Thank you.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Rama Sahib.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for today's debate is that the machete bins in Victoria are a good idea. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is true. The second speaker from the negative team has tried to tell you that machete bins aren't an effective way to dispose of machetes. However, this is false, since machete bins are an effective way to dispose of them because they provide a secure and anonymous method for individuals to surrender their weapons. The bins are designed to accommodate machetes and are installed at police stations across Victoria, making it easy for residents to access and use them. The bins are heavy-duty reinforced steel and anchored with a concrete base, ensuring that they are secure and removable. As our first speaker mentioned, machete bins would encourage citizens to look out for each other and support the police, while our third speaker will rebut and reaffirm our case. I'll now show you proven success and reducing excessive violence. Now to my first point, proven success. As you may know, the Port Arthur massacre, which occurred on the 20th of April, 1996, resulted in the death of 35 individuals, which led to significant changes in Australia's gun laws, a weapon much more dangerous than a machete, showing a machete should be much easier to dispose of. After this unfortunate event, John Howard, the Prime Minister at the time, implemented a law that banned all guns/firearms. Australians handed in 650,000 firearms, and we never saw another massacre on that scale again. So let me ask, if history has already given us the evidence, what excuse do we have to ignore it now? If bins could stop even one machete from ending up in the wrong hands, how could we possibly justify doing nothing? Now to my second point. These machete bins being implemented are solely because of the excessive violence that has occurred in Victoria recently. For example, on the 13th of April, 2024, a 40-year-old man named Joel Kauji stabbed and killed 6 people and injured a further 12 in the Westfield Bondi Junction shopping centre in Sydney. 5 women and 1 man died, while the injured included a 9-month-old girl. But behind those numbers are real families whose lives will never be the same. Think about that 9-month-old girl, who will grow up carrying the scars of an attack she didn't even understand. That's not just violence, it's stolen innocence, and a lifetime of trauma for someone who should have only known safety. If a machete bin can stop even one child from going through that kind of pain, how can we possibly turn away? These machete bins would prevent these tragic incidents from ever happening again. Isn't that what we want? A safe, happy country? So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we, the affirmative team, most definitely encourage machete bins being made in Victoria. The Port Arthur massacre gun ban already proved success, and violence is never acceptable, especially when it's excessive. Because machete bins aren't just metal boxes. They're a promise that Australia chooses prevention, chooses safety, and most of all, chooses life.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Isla Darley.
Good morning, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for today's debate is that machete bins in Victoria are a good idea. We, the negative team, believe this to be completely false. Today, I will detail how the funds used on bins and the associated media campaign would be better used on other prevention programs and that address the root causes of machete violence, and that any short-lived benefits of the bin are temporary and the problem will return. I will now rebut what we've heard from the affirmative team. The second speaker of the affirmative team argued that they have been successful in the past. However, this is flawed because there has been a significant drop in gun crime since the 1996 National Firearms Agreement. However, several studies report that the gun buyback program was not a significant factor and rather the rest of the gun reforms introduced at the same time provided a greater contribution. They have also claimed that the bins are clearly working. This is incorrect because quantity does not equal quality. We need to ask, who is surrendering weapons? Studies have shown that criminals do not hand in weapons as they form the criminal's power base. The impact is purely cosmetic. Now I'll present my first argument, that funds should be better used on other prevention programs. The Victorian Government has introduced machete amnesty bins across the state as part of a $13 million program aimed at reducing violent crime. While the aim is to reduce the presence of machetes in the community, we, the negative team, argue that this policy is poorly targeted, symbolic rather than effective, and not the best use of taxpayer money. The program's budget is at $13 million, including the machete bins and awareness campaigns. According to Australian Associated Press, this cost could be even higher, as certain elements of this program, including disposal of machetes handed in, have yet to occur, so the final cost is unclear. A 2022 systematic review by Brown, Green, General Ripoll and Paddock concluded that primary prevention strategies such as knife amnesties did not show a significant impact in reducing knife crime, and by contrast, interventions focusing on addressing socio-economic needs, Housing, Education, Employment Act, show more promise. My second point, I will highlight that any short-lived benefits of the bin are temporary and the problem will return. Amnesty bins exist for only 3 months. After that, illegal machetes will just go underground. You don't solve violent crime with a 3-month bin program. According to a UK Justice Policy Review, the UK's Metropolitan ran a 5-week national knife amnesty in summer 2006. Some reduction in knife-enabled offences were observed, but it lasted only about 8 weeks before rates returned to pre-amnesty levels. Once the bins disappear, the problem comes back. Rather than tackling the root causes of crime, such as socio-economic disadvantage, gang involvement, or mental health, this problem gives the illusion of action without measurable long-term impact. Bins don't stop crime, they stop criticism of politicians. It's a showpiece, not a solution. So, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we, the negative team, still oppose the motion. Thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Bhavna Kaur.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that the machete bins in Victoria are a good idea. We, the affirmative team, absolutely believe that this statement is true. I will now be rebutting 3 points made by the negative team. Firstly, the first speaker from the negative team has tried to tell you that the people who commit crimes won't hand them in anyways. However, the Port Arthur gun massacre in 1996 has single-handedly proven that the people will listen for the safety of their country and themselves. When citizens were told to dispose of their firearms, they obliged and gave them in, building trust within our government. So tell me, what makes you think that people won't listen again? Because if it's worked before, these bins are destined to work better, even better than the gun ban, especially after the trust that has been built between citizens and the government. Secondly, the second speaker from the negative team has tried to tell you that the machete bins are a waste of money. The Government of South Australia's state budget website states that the police force has an annual budget of approximately $172 million. $13 million, the cost of these machete bins, including the police officers maintaining the area, would only be a 7.5% difference. This is the least we can pay for our safety. This estimate also fails to consider that the budget allows for education and rehabilitation programs regarding knife violence. The second speaker has also tried to tell you that even if it's worked in the UK, it won't be successful in Victoria or South Australia. This is wrong, because a pilot study conducted by the Queensland Government in 2023 determined the practice to run be reasonably successful, and the changes meant a large number of weapons were now off the streets. This pilot study and the full amnesty campaign in both Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria demonstrate that they can be successful in an Australian landscape, not just the UK. Our first speaker spoke to you about how machete bins would foster a safe environment and enhance trust among local communities. He also stated that machete bins are proven to be tamper-proof. Our second speaker spoke to you about how things like machete bins in the past have been very successful in Australia. Her second point stated that these bins would remove excessive violence currently existing in our country. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, it is clear that safety should be the priority, and our government is showing that by implementing these bins. Is it really worth having another national tragedy like the one in Bondi Junction over getting bins to prevent it? So, once again, we the affirmative team, absolutely believe that the machete bins in Victoria are a good idea. Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Marcy Burma.
Good morning, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for today's debate is that the machete bins in Victoria are a good idea. We, the negative team, believe this to be undeniably false. Today, as third speaker, I will be rebutting the opposition's arguments and summing up our team's case. To begin, I will rebut the claims of the affirmative team. The first affirmative speaker failed to convince you that it makes people feel safe. A 2017 report on gun amnesties quotes former Federal Justice Minister Michael Keenan as saying that it is not going to be the case that hardened criminals who have made a big effort to get a hand on illegal guns would be handing them into police stations or amnesty bins. This clearly explains why amnesties, such as the one involving machete bins, are not a particularly effective response to firearm or knife crime. They also said that they are safe. This argument is flawed because, as said by the Victorian politician Nick McGowan, something as cheap and accessible as a Bunnings tool is all that it takes to crack open one of these so-called secure bins. The second affirmative speaker tried to convince you that the gun amnesty worked. There has been a significant drop in gun crime since the 1996 National Firearms Agreement. However, several studies report that the gun buyback program was not a significant factor, and rather the rest of the gun reforms and the law introduced at the same time provided a greater contribution. They also said that they are clearly working. There may be many weapons that have been surrendered, but that does not mean that the bins are working. Quantity does not equal quality, and studies show that criminals and offenders don't hand in machetes, and that it's only people that pose no threat that will use the bins. They also were talking about the ban in general, not the machete bins. Whether banning machetes is a good or bad idea is irrelevant to the topic of today's debate. May I which remind you is about the machete bins in Victoria. Now to sum up my team's case.
Our first speaker has explained how the machete bins are ineffective and that people who cause crime will definitely not use them. Our second speaker talked about how the funds should be used on prevention programs that address the root cause of the machete violence instead of bins, and that the bins are temporary and the problem will return. Today, we, the negative team, strongly oppose the motion that the machete bins in Victoria are a good idea. While we agree that tackling violent crime is important, we argue that machete bins are an ineffective and wasteful policy that does little to make our community safer. So, members of the House, in conclusion, machete bins are a political gesture, an expensive, short-lived and ineffective scheme that targets the wrong people while leaving communities no safer. Instead of throwing money at bins, we should be funding real solutions like policing, prevention and community support. For these reasons, we firmly oppose the motion. Thank you.
I call upon a member of the adjudication panel to come forward and award the debate.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate both teams for making it to the grand finals. And as previously said, what a great venue we do have here in Parliament House. As it is a grand final and we've had 5 adjudicators, you won't be getting any individual feedback. I can confirm that today there's a unanimous win for the negative team. Well done.
I call upon a member of the runner-up team to give a vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. On behalf of me and my debate team, we would like to take the time to appreciate family, friends, and any supporters who have been here for every step of the way. We would also like to thank the coaches, teachers, and the adjudicators for making sure that we were prepared, supported, and challenged throughout the debate. We really appreciate it. And finally, a big thank you to the negative team for pushing us to do our best today. Overall, we would like to thank everyone involved for making this debate such a valuable and memorable experience. Thank you.
I call upon a member of the winning team from the winning team to second that vote of thanks.
First, we would like to thank Nazareth College for giving us such a great debate and making us work super hard. Next, we'd like to thank Ms. Kersley and Mr. G for supporting us through all the lunchtime meetings and helping us make this possible. Thank you to the adjudicators for judging us and giving the best decision possible. And thank you to our friends and family here and not here today for supporting us through this whole journey. Thank you to our team. Anouk is first, Isla is second, myself is third, and Roy and Mitch, who although not speaking today, have played crucial roles in getting us this far. And lastly, thank you to Parliament House for letting us debate here and make incredible memories. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. I now declare this debate closed.